So, Kyle, I like Star Wars.
Yeah.
I like Disney. Marvel's really growing on me. I grew up a DC kid, but I really like Marvel Comics now. I like video games. I like toys. There are so many things I like, Kyle, in 3.0. I'm scared to review it. I should probably hand it off to somebody else at this point.
What do you mean by that?
1.0 came out, I thought it was really clever, and I
Yeah.
scored it maybe a little higher than other people because it was new, it was fresh. I always give credibility to that, where it was like, wow, they actually are doing something totally unique, and it's really fun, and I can't stop playing it.
And something you were opposed to at first, even.
Yeah, something I was not a fan of.
Yeah.
Being a huge Disney fan and a video game fan, I still was like not feeling it.
Yeah.
And then 2.0 seemed like they were scaling it up, but I give it a lesser score than 1.0 because I thought they kind of like, focused their efforts a little different. It still produced a really quality game, but I felt it was maybe not as much diverse content as they had in the first game.
Less game to play, right? Yeah.
3.0 is ridiculous. Looking at everything that they've done and not just like adding more stuff, but it's kind of like Madden, where I think it's like a 3 or 4 year cycle where like some years are transition years, some years they try new systems, and then some years you just get those games like FIFA with NHL where everything just sings. It's like everywhere you look, every single adjustment or anything seems like at the absolute apex of its game.
Sure.
And it's like, I demoed, there's still some things that I can't talk about yet. There's a Inside Out playset that we'll be able to talk about in a week. There's the episode 4 through 6 playset that we're going to talk about a little bit closer to E3. But I can't talk about all the toy box stuff. I can talk about the awesome figure that I'm holding in my hand because they gave me one figure when I walked out. And I can talk about the prequel one, which is Twilight of the Republic, episodes 1 through 3.
So this guy's name is Bantha?
Yeah, this is Bantha
Cool.
Binks. This is youngish Yoda. This is prequel Yoda. They've announced that they will have costume discs in 3.0, like they had in 2.0. They haven't announced what they are yet, but I'm going to put a lot of money on the possibility of them having age modifiers.
Yeah, his would just be like a more bald,
Right? He would get, maybe his hair would be a little more frizzy.
Yeah.
And he would maybe in a different outfit, maybe like a little tattier outfit or something.
Yoda's cool without the robe, actually.
Right.
Yeah, Yoda's awesome without the robe.
And I'm assuming they're going to have old Han, old Leia, old Luke, old Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's actually in the prequel things, and I think all characters cross over, so you can have Darth Maul go in the episode 4 through 5 play set, and he can play it. They didn't really talk about like how those things are going to be restricted. I don't know where to start, Kyle. Where do you want me to start? There's Toy Box.
I know this isn't conventional, but this is the thing I'm most excited about, actually, is that Sumo Digital is working on the car stuff.
Yes.
So is there like a Mario Kart
Yes.
in this?
There's a Mario Kart in it. It is all of the tracks are exclusive to that zone. So like you're going through tracks like you couldn't build this in the toy box, even with the tools that we gave you.
This is a
Sumo
good track.
Sumo designed these tracks.
Cool.
Sumo was like Tatooine. Cool. Like there's like a Tatooine track where you like go through the desert and go through the canyons and then go back through the city. And the driving's way better. And it's exciting too, because one thing about you go to these events, and I don't know if you feel this, but like there's sometimes when you go to an event and people are like kind of down on the franchise and you're like, or like down on their efforts, like, like if you demo a Sonic game, not to throw Sonic under the bus during a Disney Infinity thing, but you're like, oh yeah, you get the sense the team's kind of fatigued. And it's another thing when you go and check these guys out and they're like, we recognize that this wasn't good, that we had driving in the other games, but there's not that fun. Like we built the official GT toy box and every time I would drive, we'd go flying off of the rails because it's like, it's not, drifting's fun, but it doesn't really feel that great. And they were really welcome to Sumo coming in and being like, we love this game so much and your driving's terrible, let us fix this. And like it's just so much faster, like the handling's a lot better. And they have like 8 or 9 tracks, I think, with the initial launch. So that's like a totally separate side of the game, along with the 5 playsets that are gonna launch, along with all the other Toy Box stuff. It's called Toy Box Speedway.
And then how do I get, so my carts are probably vehicles that I have, right? I have the chips for the vehicles?
All the vehicles control better, so you can take any of the vehicles. Yeah, if you have
Cool.
any of the old power discs, I'm sure there's gonna be a bunch of new vehicles. There's also some Star Wars stuff, speeder bikes, the pod racers.
Pod racers are in?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So all of those will be unlockable, and I'm sure they got more of that stuff to reveal. So yeah, the racing stuff was fun. And again, one thing that's the reason, and I specifically asked multiple people this question, I'm like, this is nuts how much stuff you're bringing to 3.0 is the only reason you guys pulled this off because you're meeting with so many different development teams. I think it's like 6 or 7 totally separate teams.
Yeah.
Ninja Theory doing a lot of the lightsaber combat. is that the reason you were able to add this much stuff? And they're like, yeah, we just, we realized we were spread too thin. But it's fun because a lot of people at this press event that I went to from these other companies got up and they like legitimately, you could see it in their eyes. They were like, I was so excited about Infinity when I first heard about it. Cool. And it's so exciting to come in and play something. They're like, yeah, we did DMC. Like, yeah, we did Ninja Theory. Like, yeah, we do violent games. So it's fun to play something that's not, like work on something that, here's a system that shouldn't be complex, but let's make it complex. Let's make it deep.
How do you mean? What is deep about it?
So one thing that was fun is I played the good transition, Kyle. I played the Twilight of the Republic playset, and I played as Anakin, and then Andrea played as Ahsoka Tano, and that's the launch set. So if you get the starter pack for 3.0, it's those two characters in this playset. And at one point I ran in and there were a bunch of droids, and I jumped up in the air and could force pull them and hack them, and wiped out like 6 of them in a row without hitting the ground. So I was just up in the air, and I kept pulling guys at me and hacking them, and pulling guys at me and hacking them.
So how do you force pull?
The left trigger turns all the buttons into force abilities.
Cool.
So I think it's like the left trigger and one button does a force push, the left trigger and another button does a force pull. So and the Y was the attack. So like B to jump, and then just like the left trigger and like A or B or something to pull it closer to me, and then Y to attack. So it's just, as long as I had the left trigger pulled down, it was just like A, Y, A, Y.
Right, because what I'm used to with Disney Infinity is short range attack button, long range attack button, and grab.
Right.
And so now we have force abilities.
And and each of the characters has their own specific
their super.
His big super is like he'll just jump around and take out a bunch of guys. I think Anakin's big one is like a big force ball that he like knocks a bunch of guys away from him. Didn't really get to like get up to that level.
I'm not sure that's canon.
Because they were just starting the playset. It's not canon actually. They've gone out of I think
that's cool.
I think the Clone Wars one can fit into canon. 4 definitely can't. Like 4's in the episode, in the prequel one you fight Darth Maul, even though it's it's set in the Clone Wars. And I was like, oh cool, what's your story for bringing Darth Maul back? And they're like, he's back. We didn't, you know what I mean? Like, we wanted this to be like the ultimate experience where you get to do Grievous and Darth Maul and all this cool stuff without having to worry about like they're toys. It's a playset. Don't worry about it.
It's so weird to me that Clone Wars is treated with reverence when it was just like cut off, canceled immediately when Disney acquired Star Wars.
And they put it at the forefront because they're like, this is a game for kids, and that's probably the Star Wars they're most familiar with.
What about also this new thing, the Rebels?
They haven't announced anything for Rebels.
That's so weird.
Best Buy might have leaked something that there might be more play sets, so we might get another Star Wars one, so we might get Rebels down the road. Rebels seemed like a thing, maybe looking at their launch lineup, that they might want to do a save and then like wait for season 2 to start or something, and then bring out the play set and have that playable. They have farming now in toy boxes. So you have like a farm that you can set up, and you have sidekicks. So when you guys did the, when we were trying to get the platinum, when you guys did that one thing and you had a sidekick?
Yeah.
And you can pick where you want it to be, like ranged or melee or heal you and stuff. All of the sidekicks were specific towards that mode. So there was an Avengers one, and there was a one from Brave. And the Brave one, you could pick like little Viking-looking dudes, and the Avengers one, you could pick like inmates from the Guardians of the Guardians of the Galaxy. You could pick like inmates from nowhere, or like people that live there that could go along with you. No, it was Escape from the Kiln. I'm sorry, the Kiln was the prison.
Right.
They were at in Guardians, so they were Kiln prisoners that you could pick, and those were your sidekicks. In 3.0, in any of the toy box modes that you can go into where you can bring a sidekick, you can pick from anyone that's like a townsperson. So you can pick like Robin Hood or Mike Wazowski or, Captain Hook was one of the ones they used as an example.
Yeah.
And then when you farm stuff, you get supplies that you can feed them, and then you can level up their skills. So you can make them a better fighter or a better healer or a better tank or a better person who discovers things in the environment.
That's cool. Can I make a toy box that is all about farming?
Yes.
So I can make a super farm and then upgrade my little minions.
And then the initial farm, as you level up, you can buy more plots, like the farm that you can go to, and like from the HUD, which is like a new central area, which is another thing we could talk about, but I can skim over that for now. As you go through that, you unlock the ability to get more farming stuff.
But I've seen your level up box, essentially a box that Brandon drops new characters into, and then they just farm experience points. Do you think you can ever like create an automated farm machine?
That's kind of what it is. Like you put out your sidekicks and they just do it. So like, even if I was to try to build one of those, it would function the same way.
And so you can like sit back at your desk and they'll farm for you.
And some things take like 24 hours of real time to farm. So you like plant stuff, just like Farmville. But unlike Farmville, the thing that's fun is it's in 3D and you do it with your characters. So you can say like, I want Robin Hood to be the milk farmer or whatever. And they're all silly Disneyland things. So it's like churros and all that you grow, like all stuff that's like relative to Disneyland films or TV shows or the park. And there's Toy Box Takeover, which is another mode like Speedway. That's kind of like the mode that you play, except it's a lot more scripted. Like there's little cinemas and stuff like that in between. Remember the top-down isometric thing that we were just talking about?
So they added some presentation to it?
It just made it cooler. Yeah, it's just like everything else. Like I was talking about, like the combat, cooler. Like Toy Box options, cooler, more stuff. It looks a little bit better because they're like, have more time with the next gen to like add more stuff. So the effects are a little bit better. Like I said, the racing, like the speed of it works really well. I've yet to find a fault. I'm trying to like find something where it's like, where did you skimp? I can't find it because they brought in so many other people.
So did you play around in the Toy Box mode?
Yeah, played around with everything.
So what did they change to building?
Just more buildings. Like I didn't get a lot of time to like goof around with those, but they added the El Capitan Theater where you can go in and watch videos that they release. You can basically access their YouTube channel from the game.
Weird.
The El Capitan on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, do they put on shows before the movies do?
No, it's just like their podcast and the videos they put up for Infinity.
Is that a toy box? Like one of the toy boxes?
When I put one down in the toy, it's a building. So when I put the building down in the toy box and I click on it, I can access their.
So I can even put the El Capitan in my own toy box, and I go inside, and then I'm watching their stuff on YouTube.
Yes,
that's
and there's
really
another
cool.
one that's called Flynn's Arcade. That's the same thing except for toy boxes. You can go in and there'll be like toy boxes that you can access directly through that in the game.
Oh, it'll like port me out
from Tron. So it says like Flynn's out front.
That's pretty cool.
So they haven't even talked about discs yet. They haven't talked about when I went to the sidekicks thing. Oh, you can also put hats and tools on the sidekicks. So they turned Captain Hook into like a ranged character, and he had Captain America's shield. So you have this little like townsperson that's chucking the shield, and like he gets a stat bonus from the hat that he wears, and like it's just cool because there's 93 in the demo, and they didn't have any Star Wars sidekicks. So I'm like, you haven't added those yet, have you? And he's like, yeah, there'll probably be over 100 of those characters. So again, if you can just pick like which ones you want to focus on leveling up, like what characters you like, and then
your
they
favorites.
Can
You pick your
be
favorites.
your friends. Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's Marvel, there's Disney, there's plus new characters I'm sure that they're going to announce. Plus, as I mentioned, there's an Inside Out playset that we'll probably do a Just Played with Andrea when she checks that out, and because we didn't have time at the actual event. And then there's the Episode 4 one, which we'll talk about soon, but I can't talk about just yet.
So you seem pumped about the Episode 4 one.
I'm pumped about everything. Everything I played was really great. They might be doing this in the Episode 4 one too, but in the prequel one, you go to multiple locations, which is fun, and they're all open world. So like previously, like in New York in the Avengers, it was just like New York map done. Maybe some fun things you unlock and open up, but these are like Geonosis, Coruscant, like totally different locations.
In Twilight of the Republic.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about space battles.
Yeah.
What are they like?
Didn't do a space battle, just did. Running around, didn't have time.
Okay.
He would have had to like finish the quests in that area and then like zoom to.
I think there's a lot riding on space battles.
Yeah, it looks like there's not a lot of HUD, which is interesting. It looks like kind of more free-form targeting and less like, oh, you have lots of abilities and stuff. It's just like they wanted to give you lots of freedom.
Yeah.
To fly around. And in one trailer that they released, they had like Super Mario Galaxy type planetoids in the flying levels.
Yeah.
So you could land at a station and then run around, and they would have like little traps and stuff you'd have to do like Jedi tricks through and stuff.
That stuff I think looks very cool.
So yeah, just looks super fun. There's a lot to talk about, and Kyle, you're always here when I want to talk about
Infinity
stuff. But very pumped, and more video guys coming for Infinity before E3, and of course lots during E3. So lots to talk about.
Star Wars.
Thank you for the conversation, Kyle.
No problem.
Looks like we have visitors. Let's hope they come in peace.